Years of life here on this planet. I want to thank Byron Belka for coming down, and he's the CEO of Rain International. So with no further ado, I'm going to get off the stage here and give the floor to Byron Belka. Thank you.
I don't know if I can beat that performance. That's setting the bar pretty high for all in there. So
The ending wasn't that bad.
So like I get my stuff ready here. So like I said, as mentioned, my name is Byron Belka. I'm 37 years old. This is actually my first time here, so I'm excited to be here. I've been on the road the last couple of days, going from state to state, but at least I get to speak in English, because lately I usually always have a translator. So I love that I don't have to stop every sentence, every other sentence, and at least kind of go through this and kind of keep my thoughts together. So I'm from Utah. I'm the oldest of 6 kids. I have 4 kids of my own now, and I love them. And the thing that I value most, obviously, in life is family and that type of stuff, and my time. Time is the most important thing. And here I am again, away from my family, on the road, and the reason that I do that is because I believe in what I do. And if I didn't believe in it, I would be wasting my time, and so would you. And so I want you to know that I'm not here to waste your time tonight. I don't like wasting mine, I don't like wasting anybody's. And if what I'm about to share with you tonight isn't real, then that's exactly what we're doing. And I know you expect me to say these things, because if you've ever been to a presentation before, the person at the front of the room is going to always tell you that whatever they have is the best thing since sliced bread, right? So you expect me to say that. I understand that. But by the time we're done tonight, hopefully you're going to see why we're so excited about Rain, and it's not just Byron's opinion, but it's reality of what's taking place here. And whether you understand it or not, this meeting here that we're doing is historic. It really is. And once again, by the time we're done, I want you to hopefully understand that. The first time I heard about this, I was sitting in a seat like you were. And now I'm one of the owners and the president of the company. And that was a pretty unique thing, how that happened. So tonight I want to kind of just give you the overview of what's taking place. Kind of just cover the concepts of what's making sense. Or what's going on here. Hopefully it makes sense, because I don't have time to go into too much detail on anything, or we'd be here all night. But I want to give you the concepts, because if the concepts make sense, then you're going to see why it makes sense maybe for you to be a part of what we're doing, and then obviously learn as you go from that point. And so, as I mentioned, I don't think that I'm anything special. I'm 37 years old, but I've had a couple opportunities in life that have been presented in front of me that, one, I recognize as an opportunity, and 2, I did something about it. And one of those times was when I was 26 years old. Now, I live in Utah, where there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of networking companies, a lot of products, a lot of direct sell companies, a lot of stuff. And so, where I come from, you fall into one of 2 categories. You either like networking or you don't. There's really not a middle ground. There's a new one every month. There's always some. You either like it or you don't. And I had a friend of mine that would always join these companies, these nutritional companies, these product companies, and every time he did it, I don't know why, if I had a bullseye on my forehead or what, but he called me every time. And I signed up every time. And I didn't make money ever. At first, I would sign up, and want to know the main reason why I would sign up and buy whatever product he was talking to me about? Is really so he'd stop calling me. That was the real reason. I had no real intention. I had no real intention to do it. But what happened is I had a mortgage company during the refi boom, and I hadn't seen this friend of mine for a couple of years. And I was driving home from my mortgage company one night, and I came to a 4-way stop. And I look over and I see another person sitting in the car. It happened to be this friend of mine that I hadn't seen for a long time. We made eye contact and we waved to each other, and then I drove off, and I thought to myself, he's going to call me. I know he's going to call me. And the next day he called me. And he said, Byron, I've got the best thing ever. And he started explaining this thing, and I said, you know what? You're good at that stuff, I'm not. Yeah, you've seen success in that, I don't. And he said, Byron, your problem is you sign up and that's all you do. You don't ever do anything. And I said, you're right. I have no passion behind it. I got to love it. I got to believe in it. The passion is not there. And he said, well, for the sake of you and your family, I'm not going to let you miss this one. And so we went back and forth, and he told me about it for the next half hour or whatever. And I finally just said, okay, how much does this one cost? And I was going to do the same thing that I always do, and that is just sign up, try the product, put it in the back room, and have them stop bugging me. And he said, you need to promise me you're going to do something this time, because I signed up. He says, you need to promise me you'll do something this time. You need to go to dinner with this guy. And he said a gentleman's name. And I knew the name, because where I live, everybody knows the name. Because he's a multimillionaire, owns a lot of real estate, a lot of businesses, a lot of buildings. And I thought to myself, if I can go to dinner with that guy and have a chance to maybe swap cards and say that I've met him and to rub shoulders with somebody like that, yeah, I'll go to dinner with somebody like that. And so he set up that dinner. I went to dinner that night, and we sat down. For the first time ever, I had somebody kind of get me excited about this industry. And he said, Byron, you want to know why most people fail at direct sales or fail at network marketing? You want to know why they fail? It's because they do network marketing. They don't build a business. So I'm going to teach you how to build a business. That's how I make my money. I open cities, states, and countries. That's what I do. I don't just drop off stuff at the neighbor's house. I open cities, states, and countries. And he was, like I said, this was our first time I met him. But he was grilling me that night, and he said 3 things that I'll never forget. And the first thing he said is, I don't need to be doing this. I make a lot of money. If I help you do this, I'm going to spend time away from my family, and I'm going to spend time away from my friends. And the worst thing that I could do was take 6 months to train you how to do this thing, and you quit, and you wasted 6 months of my life. He said, so, he looked at me straight in the eye, and he said, so if you're going to do this, don't waste my time. And then the second thing he said to me was, I've heard every excuse in the book. I've been doing this for a long time. Any excuse you can think of, I've heard. Don't give me any excuses. And then the third thing he said was, so are you going to do it or not? Because if you don't know, then who knows? And you know, what do you say to that? I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Try to get out of there. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I was excited. He got me excited. I said, I'm going to do it. And I remember it was about 11 o'clock that night. I was driving home. And I thought to myself, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't like this stuff. Why'd you commit to that? And what he had done is he'd already told me no excuses. But he wrote a conference call number down on a piece of paper and a code. And he slid it over the table and he said, I want you to have 10 people on this call tomorrow at 2 p.m. Now, like I said, he said no excuses, so I agreed to it, but 2 p.m., come on. How about 7 at night or 8 o'clock, 2 in the middle of the day? And so, remember that next day I was pretty stressed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start calling a couple people. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was calling a few people trying to get them on this call. It was getting close to being 2, and I didn't have 10 people. And so I called my dad. Now my dad at this time did not like networking. And so I called my dad and I said, Dad, I'm not trying to pitch you on anything. I need you to do me a favor. Okay, at 2 o'clock, I need you to call this number, just stick your ear to the phone and be somebody there for me to listen. I'm trying to get 10 people on this call. Can you do that? My dad says, yeah, I'll do that for you. And so I thought to myself, that worked. So then I called my cousin and I said, I'm not trying to pitch you anything. I need you to get on this call at 2 o'clock. So 2 o'clock comes around, I get 10 people on the call. This gentleman gets on the phone call, tells everybody what's going on. We all get off the phone. I'm relieved because I actually did it and it worked out and everything. My phone starts ringing, and the first person to call me back was my dad. So I pick up the phone. I say, Dad, thank you so much for getting on there. I appreciate you doing that. He's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, but I have a question. Who do I give the money to? You or that guy? And I thought, are you serious? I got 10 people on that call, and out of those 10, 9 people joined. Now, I know that that's not normal, but that's what happened. And 3 months later, I got rid of my mortgage company. I was 26. I hit the top level of my first company when I was 28. I moved overseas and opened up countries. Lived in Europe. And the industry's changed my life. You know, networking done wrong is your worst nightmare. Networking done right is a fairy tale. And I love the industry. And what happened was, even though I was seeing success, this was an older company with an older plan. And so I didn't know any difference because I didn't have anything to compare it to. It was my first time I really tried. So what happened is, even though I was seeing a lot of success, and I had people that were seeing success, but I had a lot of people that would try and they weren't able to do it because it was an older company with an older plan, the products were good, but if you didn't hit your quotas and your minimums every month, you could lose your team. And every time you lost your team, my check went up. So people would fail and my check would go up. And I had this friend of mine, I'd served a service mission with a friend, and we had a good relationship. We went to overseas and we served together. He was from Austria, from Vienna. Good friend of mine that joined my business. He tried really hard for a couple of years. He couldn't hit his quotas, and his team ran up to mine, and I made money off of it, even though it wasn't my intention, even though it wasn't what I wanted to do. It put a strain on our relationship, and I thought, this is not worth it. I didn't get into this industry to make money off my friends or my family. I want to help people, and I want to make money with my friends and my family. And so I moved home. Came back to the States, moved back to Utah, and for the first time I was open, because before I wasn't. I was just, go get it done. And I was open, and I remember, and I was looking. And if you've ever seen a lot of success in the industry, then you know that you get called a lot. A lot of people offer you a lot of things to look at their company, look at their product. They'll offer you all kinds of things. But I wasn't trying to look at what was in it for Byron, because I wanted it to be good for my people. And I remember the first time I was like you, sitting down and I heard about Rain. I had the owners at that time tell me what they had. And they said, Byron, we're the first company in this industry to focus on 100% on where the source of nutrition comes from.